An adaptation of Bill O'Reilly's Killing Jesus premiered recently on the National Geographic channel, and it did extremely well. It brought in record numbers, the most watched program in the history of the National Geographic channel. So big viewership, but the reviews not quite as positive necessarily. There were a few very critical reviews on websites and in newspapers, and Bill O'Reilly, being the strong, confident man that he is, felt the need to go on his nationally syndicated program and review the reviewers as you do. And so here he is on his program defending Killing Jesus while bragging at the same time.
Fallout from the movie Killing Jesus. We are pleased to report the movie last night, the most watched program ever on the National Geographic channel. We're also pleased to report that if you missed the film, the Fox News channel will rebroadcast Killing Jesus this coming Friday, Good Friday, 8 Eastern, again at 11, and on Easter Sunday. There's no excuse. You got to watch it.
Oh, okay. No excuse. No excuse. You have to watch Bill O'Reilly's incredibly crappy rendition of what happened to Jesus.
Yeah, and nothing against the people who are in the movie and everything. And like, I did not see it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it?
Yeah, no, just so I can do this segment, I watched it over and over again.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I didn't see it. So
the most watched program on National Geographic channel. To be fair, though, National Geographic channel. Come on.
No. By the way, okay, so let me be clear about a couple of things. Number one, bless their hearts. So it was widely watched, and that's probably all that National Geographic cares about.
Yeah.
And so they're probably going to do the next Bill O'Reilly book into something over there. So I don't blame him for that.
It's not a conservative outlet, as far as I know. And the director and the people who were in it and everything probably worked super hard. I don't have a problem with any of them.
No, I mean, they got good ratings. Who cares? And then O'Reilly's sensitive about the reviewers, which you're about to see in a second. But I don't really blame him for that either. If somebody's like ripping your book and stuff, which is what it's based on, if it was my book, I'd get a little touchy, right?
I suppose, but I also don't remember you coming on here and like bringing up newspapers about Mad as Hell and ripping people to shreds if they didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. To be fair,
you didn't make it. That's fair.
It's not my movie. It's about us and it's about me, but it's not my movie. But I said in a post game that look, the negative reviews, sometimes it's hard for it to not get under your skin.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, well, why don't we...
Yeah, and just to be clear, at one point, Mad as Hell on Rotten Tomatoes had a 30% review. So that was really, and the audience review of it was 100%.
Oh.
Okay, now those numbers have moved a little bit since then, right? But that's why I do relate to O'Reilly a little bit. Again, we didn't make the movie, but a lot of the reviewers, one reviewer in particular, said nothing about the movie. Nothing. He wrote about 5 to 6 paragraphs about how much he hates me. gave it some sort of terrible score and moved on with his life. Why didn't you say anything? So again, I relate. Now, nonetheless, the reviewers had some substantive issues with what Killing Jesus.
Yeah, totally. If you want to see Mad as Hell, by the way, it's going to be rebroadcast on Fox on Good Friday.
You have no excuse.
You have no excuse. What's your excuse? Okay. But anyway, yeah, so he's going to, in this next clip, attack some specific criticisms of the film.
Now, this is very bad news for the secular progressive movement, which sees Christian expositions as a threat to their political agenda. Opposition to abortion, gay marriage, legalized narcotics, and libertine behavior in general often comes from faith-based organizations and citizens. So any embrace of Christian tradition is a danger to the agenda of the left. The far-left Guardian is a good example. Quote, "These specials usually put O'Reilly's patented conservative slant on retellings of history, something that wouldn't really sit well with Christians. The book, Killing Jesus, fell into this trap, presenting salacious detail about Christ's death and a Tea Party version of the Son of God." Gilbert sees the entertainment industry through his uber left-wing prism. Quote, "I admit I don't like watching or listening to O'Reilly. I prefer my blowhards in a comic context. Killing Jesus is a shallow telling of Jesus' story." Of course it is. The New York Times even denigrated Killing Jesus, the movie, by directing its readers to a critic who says the Gospels in the Bible are, quote, "myths and legend," unquote. I mean, really? How insulting is that? The only myth in play here is that the New York Times is an objective source of information.
He thinks the Bible's more objective than the New York Times.
Yeah, look, but but this is the genius of O'Reilly, because he's goading us into doing what he wants us to do, right?
But I still want to do it.
Yeah, you do. You want to say, like, Bill, of
moron.
course it's a myth. Of course it's a legend, right? He didn't actually walk on water. She wasn't a virgin. And then he got you. Because what he wanted to do was present himself as the arbiter of all things Christian and all things Jesus. And he's trying to goad people into attacking that position so he can say, the folks at home, I'm here for you. I'm on Jesus' side, and all those other no-good liberals like the New York Times and John Iadarola, okay, are against Christians, are against the good Christians I'm here to protect. That's his genius, and it works, and that's why he has a big audience, and that's why the National Geographic show did well. People are like, Jesus, yes, Bill! Because Jesus really needed Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, he needed support. His stock is falling. He can be the arbiter of everything that is Christian, or he can present himself, from my point of view, as a reputable historian writing about historical fact. It's when he tries to do both that I have a problem with it. Like, you can write about your fantasies about what Jesus was like based on the myths that were written down decades after he died by people who had never met him. You can do that, or you can try to accurately describe what very little we know about the historical person that supposedly either one or multiple people who are combined into this Jesus figure. But he's saying that he's doing both. And I would argue that he's failing at both. He's not describing accurate history based on the criticisms I've seen of the film. And he's also not describing what Jesus was actually like in the Bible. He criticized the far left Guardian or whoever as saying it's a Tea Party version of the son of Jesus. But from what I've read, it is. He's not turning the other cheek. He's not, calling for the rich to give their money to the poor. He's not doing all those things that are actually in the freaking Bible. You're one piece of source material for the life of Jesus, and you don't even use that material. So if you're not interested in the source material, why should I be interested in your crappy rendition of the source material?
Now, again, admittedly, I called it crappy based on the reviews and the facts that they had in the reviews about what was in Killing Jesus. But to John's point, of course it's a conservative version of Jesus. Bill O'Reilly wrote it, right?
Yeah.
And so he wasn't going to emphasize over and over, help the homeless, help the needy, help the poor. That if you're rich,
Cure disease.
If you're rich, there's almost no way in the world you're going to make it into heaven.
Yeah.
No way you're going to make it into heaven. Having money is evil. So that Jesus said that. Now, is Bill O'Reilly, did he put it in Killing Jesus? Hey, you know what? Show me that clip in Killing Jesus. You'll say, see, you had no good lib. You didn't know. Bill O'Reilly was super fair, right? Okay, so, but according to all the reviewers, that is not what is in Killing Jesus. So it is at best a twisted or, opinionated version of the so-called historical Jesus.